Raurangatira mānau mai hara mai, hoki mai, ki ngā kohi-kohinga motu hake o te whaipotuko o te puti. Welcome everybody and welcome back to repeat offenders, and welcome to those who have not attended an opening before to the special collections, special heritage collections of Dunedin Public Libraries. It's my great pleasure to MC this event, to launch the first solo flight by our new rebel librarian, Julian Smith. And also to introduce our guest speaker, Liam McIlvaney, Professor Liam McIlvaney, who is the Stewart Chair in Scottish Studies at the University of Otago and Director of the Scottish Programme. Liam was born in Kilmarnock, Ayrshire, son of novelist William McIlvaney. He studied at the University of Glasgow, where he got an MA Honours, and at the University of Oxford, where he got a D.Phil. He lectured in Scottish and Irish literature at Aberdeen before coming to Otago to take up his position there. His research expertise is in Scottish literature, so very fitting since our exhibition is on Sir Walter Scott and his literature. And culture since 1701. If I was better educated, I might know the significance of 1701, but I don't. And maybe Liam will fill us in on that. As well as having an impressive record of academic writing, Liam has written 2 crime novels, the second of which earned him the Nona Marsh Award in 2014. So without further ado, I will introduce Liam to you.
Well, thanks very much. It's a great privilege to be asked to say a few words at the opening of Waverley. Whether you'll regard it as a great privilege remains to be seen. Till high Dunedin the blazes saw, Saul surrounded them penned a law, and Lothian heard the regent's order that all should bound them for the border. In these lines from the Lay of the Last Minstrel, Walter Scott's High Dunedin is of course a reference to the Edinburgh of the North rather than the South. And if you've ever visited Edinburgh, you'll know how impossible it is to escape the author of Waverley. Arriving in the Scottish capital by train, you alight at Waverley Station, which probably must be, I think, the only railway station on the planet named after a novel. Climbing the Waverley steps onto Princes Street, the first thing you see is the great Scots baronial space rocket of the Walter Scott monument. Once you've worked up a thirst by climbing the 287 steps and 60 metres to the top of the monument, you may decide to repair to one of the great literary pubs of the area, perhaps the Abbotsford Bar in Bow Street, named after Walter Scott's residence in Scottish borders. What do you drink in the Abbotsford Bar? Well, you're in Scotland, so you're drinking whisky. You might be slightly flummoxed by the great array of single malts behind the gantry of the Abbotsford Bar, so you may opt for a good quality blend like the Antiquary, named after Walter Scott's third novel. Nothing in life is free, so when the barman arrives to ask for your payment, you hand over a Bank of Scotland tenner emblazoned with Walter Scott's face. In other words, there's no escape from Walter Scott in the Scottish capital. And why should there be? As one recent book puts it, Scott is the man who invented a nation. To an astonishing degree, the global image of Scotland as the land of the mountain and the flood has been shaped by the novels of Walter Scott, particularly those 7 Scottish novels he published between 1814 and 1819. But novels were only one element in Scott's invention of Scotland. In 1822 he stage managed the visit of George IV to Edinburgh, the King's Giant. This was the first time a reigning monarch had set foot in Scotland since 1650. Scott not only persuaded the King to swathe his corpulent frame in yards of tartan, he also insisted that all the Scottish nobles, Lowland as well as Highland, appear before the monarch in full Highland dress. And this is the point at which the regional garb of the Highlander, which, as Macaulay observed, was considered by 9 Scotchmen out of 10 as the dress of a thief, became the national dress of Scotland. One contemporary complained, Walter Scott has ridiculously made us appear to be a nation of Highlanders. we need only call to mind the name of Otago's rugby team to see how far this image holds good. It's no surprise then that some commentators have suggested that Scotland ought to be spelled with 2 T's. Scott shaped Scotland, but he also shaped the world. His Waverley novels inspired national traditions of novel writing in France, Germany, Italy, Hungary, Russia and elsewhere. He was the first example of a world bestseller and, in the words of Robert Crawford, the single most influential writer there has ever been in the global history of the novel. Full stop. Mark Twain even argued that by steeping the southern states in sham grandeurs and sham chivalries, Walter Scott was responsible for the American Civil War. As the title of this exhibition indicates, Scott achieved his astonishing eminence while remaining, in a sense, unknown. Most of his blockbusting novels were published anonymously. He was the author of Waverley, the Wizard of the North, the Great Unknown. And it wasn't until the 1827 publication of Chronicles of the Canongate, a book that contains possibly the finest short story in the English language, that Scott put aside his mask and acknowledged his authorship. Unfortunately, Scott's colossal popularity couldn't last. By the end of the 19th century, his stock had fallen precipitately. The Great Unknown became the Great Unread. It became common to disparage Scott. In aspects of the novel, E.M. Forster dismisses Scott as a mere storyteller. Who shall tell us a story? Sir Walter Scott, of course. While F.R. Leavis, in the great tradition, reduces the 30 glorious volumes of the Waverley novels down to a single dismissive footnote. There are signs, however, that things are changing and that Scott's reputation may once again be on the rise. One of the great scholarly achievements of our time is the Edinburgh edition of the Waverley novels, edited out of the University of Aberdeen by my former colleague, Professor David Hewitt. On the back of this magnificent edition, published in paperback by Penguin, a number of monographs on Scott have appeared. And it's to be hoped that this exhibition, with its more than 20 first editions of the Waverley novels, will also help to restore Scott's reputation in Dunedin, a city that boasts suburbs called Abbotsford and Waverley, and whose Cargill Monument is a scale model of the Scott Monument on Princes Street. High Dunedin, then, might well refer to the Edinburgh of the South rather than the North, and we should all be deeply grateful to Julian Smith for mounting such a timely, entertaining and informative exhibition. So I hope you'll join with me in raising a glass to the success of this exhibition and in drinking a toast to the author of Waverley. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Ian, for the interesting talk. I learned a bit about Scott. I never pretended to be an expert on Scott, so yes, I know. And I think you probably almost proved it this evening. Just bear with me for a few minutes. People, we have a few other thank yous to get out of the way before we let you have a wee look at the exhibition. I'd like to thank Casey Thomas, who, as usual, has done a wonderful job with our graphics, and you'll see the posters and also the lovely wall graphic when you get into the gallery. And the team that put together the mounts in the cases and helped to design the layouts of the cases, Kathleen McCarthy, Jasmine Taylor and Suzanne Beck from the library bindery. And this is, I think, Kathleen, the first time that you've actually worked together as a team to put the cases together, so that's a first for them. Also thank Malcolm Deans, who, although not directly involved in this part of the exhibition, has done the photography for the online version, which should go live tomorrow. and thanks also to the Dunedin City Council web team who helped us to put that online version together. So I'd like you once again to join me in thanking Liam and add your thanks to those people involved, and of course Julian for putting this wonderful exhibition together. going to go backwards in time. Those of you that were with us for the European Treasures exhibition may well recall that we had all sorts of dramas about getting the catalogue together. This has now been published, so we have some copies available this evening for those of you that would like a copy. They are over there on the table by the photocopier, so just help yourselves, and if we run out there are more. Just give us a shout if you would like one. And so without any further ado, I will invite you to have a look at the exhibition. Just remember, please, to leave food and drink out here, and enjoy. Thank you.